Hey, what's going on, JJ Crew? Welcome back to our top 5 Cyberpunk mods of the week. As always, please smash that like button and hit subscribe for more content, as it really helps us out with the mysterious YouTube algorithm. Plus, it lets me know if you actually liked the video. Also, let me know if there's any mods you'd like to see featured in a video. This week, we're taking a look at a few mods and using them together to get RV a working flashlight, as well as a mod that makes your story decisions matter in combat. And finally, a vehicle mod that would make Marty McFly proud. The first mod we'll be looking at has a bit of a long name, so bear with me here. E to interact, V to walk and drive, dedicated dodge, dialogue scroll by Austanen1. So yeah, that's a pretty self-explanatory mod name if I ever heard one. I guess we can go into a little more detail though and talk a little bit about what it's actually doing and how to set it up, as it's slightly complicated. It's essentially a keybind mod that helps simplify control options on mouse and keyboard. The main being a dedicated dodge button on the left control key. As you usually don't have quite as fine-tuned movement control as you would with the controller, you can also use the Y, G, H, J keys as walking speed / slow driving inputs. The other main change that is handy for our flashlight mod later is a change from the interact key from F to E. There's also alternate versions. The ones I would recommend is one that removes the YGHJ bindings, and there's also a dedicated dodge only option, which by itself is pretty handy. Installation for this mod is a bit tricky. If you want to install using Vortex, I would recommend making sure the archives lead to the correct directory. In fact, I would recommend doing that for all of these mods. There were a few in this list where I had to fix the install path manually. The other thing to do before installing the mod is to remap your call card button to B, your hold to crouch to caps lock, and exit vehicle to E. After you've done this, it will be time to exit the game and install the mod, and then you'll be good to go. This mod is almost a must-have if you're playing the game with mouse and keyboard, though my preferred version is without the slower movement controls. Our second mod is True Hidden Everything by 6ManyMan303. This is a simple mod in its concept. It lets you hide any armor piece, each with their own separate hotkeys. Most RPG games these days have an option to toggle whether or not to hide your helmet, but this mod lets you hide as much as you want. Though in a game like Cyberpunk, I can't possibly imagine any reason you'd want to hide all of your clothing and armor. There's a delay of about half a second on items hiding and re-showing themselves, but it's certainly functional. I just wouldn't spam the hotkey a ton, as it might lock up the armor while it's trying to swap states. The hotkeys also won't work while in a vehicle using photo mode or looking at a mirror. I've always preferred toggling off the helmet in games if I'm given the option, so being able to have full control on what you can and can't see is definitely a welcome addition, especially when you consider how absolutely nuts V can look because of the different clothing combos. The main reason we're featuring the mod here though is that it gives us a toggle for the next mod on our list. And that mod would be Illuminaty by Genesio14, which adds multiple options for wearable light sources. There are 3 different lighting options: standard, dimmer, and super bright, and they function very similar to the Pip-Boy light in Fallout, where they illuminate the surrounding area. There's also a wrist option that works more as a flashlight, and that's the one that we are using here. For any of these versions, you can choose to replace dog tags or the armored vest. Yes, that's right, you have to replace a clothing item with a flashlight, because that's how modding items works in Cyberpunk right now. Ideally, with CyberEngine tweaks, the mod author will be able to find a way to just toggle a flashlight with a keybind, but as far as I can tell, this seems to be our best alternative. Plus, I just don't know enough about modding to know otherwise. It's also good to note that the lights only seem to activate when needed, much like the headlights on the vehicles in-game, but I still like being able to toggle the light on and off, as the flashlight can look a bit wonky while you're running around without a weapon drawn. There's also a lot of really dark areas in Night City where you can't really see where you're wandering around, so this is just another one of those features that you would have hoped was in the game, so thank you Genesio for making this possible. As well as Asuna and Manyman, as without their mods, I wouldn't be able to try turning it off and on again. The fourth mod we're looking at today is Lifepath Bonuses and Gang Corp Traits by RMK1234, the same mod author that gave us the level scaling and rebalance mod. As you can probably tell by the name, there are two parts of this mod. My personal favorite is the Gang Corp Traits, which expands on the idea of the Tiger Claw's smart gun jammer and expands it out to all the factions in the game. You can look at the mod page for all the changes, but just for a quick example, the animals are now immune to control hacks, electrocution, and poison, cannot be grappled, resistant to non-melee damage, in other words guns, and ignore 25% of the player armor. One critique I have of this change is that they all seem to be buffs rather than unique strengths and weaknesses for all the gangs, but if you want something to shake up your gameplay, this is definitely where it's at. The other change this mod makes is the Lifepath bonuses. Essentially, depending on the alliances you want to make throughout the game, your enemies will become more difficult to fight, while those you're more familiar with become easier and even reward you with more money. Honestly, it seems like an odd choice to do it this way, but the nice thing is that all this is editable in the config files, so you can really adjust all aspects of this to your liking in Notepad. The other thing that would be nice would be to have these as separate download options. I honestly haven't had enough time to play and really dive into these changes, but I really like how the new engagements feel so far. I highly recommend giving this one a shot. Just make sure to read the description page to get a full understanding of all the changes. The final mod is the Back to the Future mod by Carbine Heroes, and this adds the time-traveling DeLorean to Cyberpunk. Like I mentioned before with the flashlight mod, this is another mod that functions by replacing another object in the game rather than adding a completely new one. In this case, the DeLorean replaces the ray-filled Caliburn, but inherits all of its driving characteristics and even the backfire from the tailpipes. The model itself looks pretty decent, but the texture work is lacking to say the least. There's also no damage model on the car, and I would not recommend driving this in first person. For what it is though, a mod that he put together for a friend, I say they did a great job. It just needs a bit of updating. Any open world driving game always needs a DeLorean, and this even has the base car model available as an alternative download. Is it the best car replacement mod out there? No, of course not, but it's definitely a fun one to play around with, so nice work. Hope you enjoyed today's featured mods. If you have worked on or know of any cool gameplay or weapon mods, let me know in the comments. I'd love to check them out and feature them in a future video. Hope you enjoyed this video as well, and if you did, make sure to hit that like button and support the channel by subscribing if you haven't already. Also, come hang out with me at twitch.tv/JourneyJohn, where I'm live every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Central. We're currently playing modded Fallout VR in Cyberpunk, as well as some Phasmophobia on Fridays. I'll also be live streaming Fallout VR here on YouTube every Friday as well, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Anyways, hope you have a great week, and I'll see you later. Bye.